Hi MMA fans and welcome to another MMA fighting video. Although the fight between Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev is over a week and the Russian narrowly earned the victory, the conspiracy of IV usage surrounding Islam's name isn't fading away. Furthermore, an influential member of Makhachev's team posted on his social media account justifying the IV usage under specific circumstances. Instead of people buying it, they question Islam's legitimacy even more. And that post raised more questions than answers. The interesting thing about this is that the USADA and the UFC president Dana White have been silent and never come up with specific answers. Does that mean that the Sambo specialist is under investigation and his victory against Volkanovski might be jeopardized? We'll look at the newest rumors and news surrounding this enigma. What are IV infusions and their benefits? Are they banned in the UFC? Originally, intravenous nutrients were used mainly in clinics and hospitals for patients who were dehydrated, nutrient deficient, or unable to take medications orally. Nowadays, healthy folks and sports people, especially combat sports athletes, can boost their wellness and energy levels from IV vitamin therapy. The stress of facing a trained killer in a cage can lower the immune system and general well-being, and IV therapy can give that much-needed boost, making it a realistic and practical option. While stress doesn't cause us to catch a cold or a flu, it weakens the immune system to respond to viruses, leaving us more vulnerable to infection and illness. So, if an athlete wants to boost his immunity or support rehydration from high-performance athletics, such as MMA, IV vitamin therapy can help restore the athlete's body to its optimal state. Although stress is the most common reason people use IVs, combat sports athletes use them before the anti-doping agency ban to rehydrate their bodies after an exhausting and unhealthy weight cut. Speaking of the ban, under the World Anti-Doping Agency rules, IV infusions or injections are always prohibited, including those used for rehydration, as described here. Athletes are strictly responsible for using prohibited methods and for any banned substances found in their bodies. All IV infusions of more than 100 milliliters per 12-hour period are prohibited at all times, both in and out of competition, except for those legitimately received during hospital treatments, surgical procedures, and clinical diagnostics. Also, it's justified under USADA rules if IV usage is determined to be medically justified and within the standard of care by a licensed physician and administered by a licensed medical professional without an approved therapeutic use exemption. The question regarding this is if it's going to be proved that Makhachev was receiving IV treatment, does that qualify for any of these exceptions? If at any time an IV infusion is given, regardless of volume or the medical situation, it is obligatory that thorough medical documentation be recorded that establishes the clinical diagnosis, including physical examination signs and treatment plan. The USADA may ask for this information to confirm the nature of an IV infusion, especially now when all those accusations toward Islam Makhachev have appeared. Did Ali Abdelaziz snitch on Makhachev? Do you remember when Conor McGregor called the controversial manager Ali Abdelaziz a rat and a snitch? We can unquestionably imagine Conor laughing now in the corner after Ali accidentally hinted at Islam being guilty of the accusations. The Egyptian is known to defend his fighters in public and to take their side uncompromisingly. However, this time, while trying to justify Islam's actions, he buried his fighter even more in the conspiracy. For all those idiots out there, any fighter under the UFC banner can take 2 to 3 liters of IV as long as it's done by a nurse or professional. Next week, I'm gonna expose everybody. Islam Makhachev is the pound-for-pound king, tweeted Abdelaziz on Twitter. The manager deleted this tweet faster than your lady would spend your money in a mall. If Makhachev was innocent, why would Ali go on his social media account and justify IV usage? Why would anyone even try to defend some actions if they're nonsense? The MMA journalist Ariel Helwani revealed why the manager deleted the tweet afterward. When someone asked the journalist what his opinion on all this is, he replied, yes, he deleted it because someone, I would think, told him he was incriminating himself with this tweet. You can't take 2 to 3 liters by a professional or not. It's 100 milliliters per 12 hours, among other details. Massive difference. Ali Abdelaziz, realizing that he did more damage than good to Makhachev, followed up with another tweet, explaining himself thoroughly in response to Damon Martin. Brother, these people making stuff up is shocking to me. Islam did not do any IV. Even if he wanted to, he would do it the legal way. So many fighters didn't even know they actually can use an IV. Wednesday, I'm gonna embarrass everybody. Stay tuned. Abdelaziz elaborated. Another fan tweeted, I don't think Islam used an IV, but if I'm not mistaken, the commission in Australia has precedence over USADA and UFC rules when it comes to the use of IVs. The commission there has zero tolerance policy, right? The accused fighter, Islam Makhachev, obviously dissatisfied with Dan Hooker's accusations, demands the Australian fighter be accountable for his words. You must be held accountable for such accusations, tweeted Makhachev. But considering that Abdelaziz manages some of his fighters' social media accounts, it might have been him instead. By the way, if you like our video so far, don't forget to press the like button. Will Makhachev be found guilty of cheating if it's proved that he used IVs? This isn't the first time Makhachev's name has been involved in doping allegations, since years ago, the Russian tested positive for meldonium, a performance-enhancing drug that was used by many Russian athletes, including the tennis superstar Maria Sharapova. However, the dirt under Islam's name was cleared when it was determined that he had tested positive for the substance 3 months before the World Anti-Doping Association banned it. Will this be another case of Makhachev being wrongly accused? Should all those accusers like Dan Hooker be held accountable for their words? ESPN's Brett Okamoto tried to clarify the legality of IV use in mixed martial arts, and according to his sources, it's not illegal for an IV to be used if it's determined to be medically justified and within the standard of care by a licensed physician and administered by a medical professional. I sought further clarification, and here's the bottom line. If an athlete is administered an IV of more than the permitted 100 milliliters, as long as it's done by a licensed pro, it's not a violation, even in cases where dehydration caused by a weight cut is the issue being treated. In other words, IVs used to treat severe dehydration caused by cutting weight are not really banned as long as a physician is the one to justify and perform it, Okamoto elaborated. In addition to that, the UFC's Vice President of Athlete Health and Performance, Jeff Nowitzki, clarified the rules by adding that IV usage used to be illegal under USADA, but the rules were loosened up in 2019. Nowitzki wrote, "Separate from the UFC ADP rules, athletic commissions require any athlete who receives an IV during a fight week to obtain permission from the commission before receiving an IV and discloses the use of that IV to the commission after its use. Although IV use is now permitted under UFC ADP if administered by a licensed medical professional after a licensed physician determines they are medically justified, the required disclosure of such use to an athletic commission could jeopardize the commission licensing the fight." Does this mean that Makhachev is innocent if he really used the IVs? This is where it gets interesting. Although Nowitzki initiated that Makhachev would have been good as long as he asked permission and disclosed any IV use to a commission, many athletic commissions have strict rules and flat-out banned IV hydration. One such commission is the Government of Western Australia's Combat Sports Commission, and the UFC 284 event between Makhachev and Volkanovski took place in Perth under its jurisdiction. A document on its website states, the commission also prohibits the use of intravenous therapies which aid rehydration from excessive and deliberate dehydration. Any promoter, trainer, or other person registered with the commission found to be encouraging the use of such methods will be sanctioned by the commission. Any contestant known to be using these methods will not be allowed to compete. As for now, we can't know where this drama will go, but that leads to the question, what would it mean for Islam Makhachev if he's found guilty of cheating? The last UFC fighter to be sanctioned for using an IV was middleweight Paulo Costa, suspended for 6 months for the prohibited use of an infusion twice in 2017. Costa faced a 2-year ban, which is the sanction all fighters face for IV use, but his punishment was reduced by providing substantial assistance to the USADA. UFC legend BJ Penn was also suspended for 6 months for using an IV in 2016, but later claimed he had no idea that IV use was banned. If the commission proves that Makhachev took the IV and the Australian commission judges the rules, this might be a bad scenario for the Russian. He might face the same justice as Paulo Costa and be banned for a period of time. That's not even the worst thing that can happen to an athlete like him. Once someone is found guilty of cheating, his legacy is tarnished, and people would start questioning whether his previous victories were won legitimately. Fighters like Khabib or Makhachev follow some code of values and principles where honor and integrity are crucial. If people start seeing Makhachev as a cheat, he'll be affected not only by a ban, but from the psychological point of view as well. His victory against Volkanovski would be ruled as a no contest, and he would join the John Jones club of a great fighter who violated the doping rules. But let's not jump to conclusions. Sooner or later, the truth will be revealed, and we'll know whether Islam took the IVs and, if he did, whether that action was justified. And what do you guys think? Do you believe that Makhachev is innocent? And do you believe those who falsely accuse someone of cheating should be held accountable? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you'd like to watch more content like this, please make sure to like and subscribe.